best podcast in Long Beach, California. This is Tacos and Workouts. What it is. Podcast.
Yo, what it is with the best podcast in Long Beach, California. And here we are again. Look, I'm super excited for this episode. I have a guest. Tell them who you are.
What's up? My name is Memo. I run Long Beach Horror Dolls, talking about the spooky side of Long Beach.
Oh, I love it. The spooky side of Long Beach, man. You know what? I've been waiting so long to hear all these spooky tales, and I'm like, I don't know anybody. And to be honest, I'm not that good at looking all the different. So how'd you get into it, man?
Yeah, so I run Long Beach Classic, right? So that's kind of the fun side of Long Beach, where it's like talking about food places, events, that sort of deal. And so I wanted to show the spooky side of Long Beach, and that's where Long Beach Horror Dolls came about.
So you have two channels.
Two channels. This one's Long Beach Horror Dolls is strictly just showing all the folklore, scary stories that surround Long Beach.
So have you always been into like the occult, the spooky stuff? It's not like what triggered your mind in saying, I want to put this out there?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived in Long Beach all my life. My family is from Long Beach, like my kids, my wife. And so I thought, you know what? Like growing up was like great, like so many spooky stories, folklore, stuff like that. And nobody was saying these stories. Like you couldn't find a page that was dedicated to that. And I've always been fascinated, of course, by like the spooky side of things. And so it just kind of made sense to do that. And the response has been pretty good, bro. Like a lot of people like love these stories. A lot of people resonate with that. And you get people that also tell you like, hey, like I've been there before and I went through X, Y, and Z. Or like my aunt was there, she remembers that. And so like and then you also got the skeptics too that say like, nah, that's not real. But I get why they're skeptics, but until it happens to you, you're like, look, you believe it.
There's always somebody like, nah, it's all fake, it's not true. Yeah, you know what? I knew of two things, right? I knew the Queen Mary, right? That was one of them. And then I recently found out about Eigor's Alley.
Yeah, so Igor's Alley is one of the ones that's really popular, especially with anybody on the north side. So people on the north side, for some reason, know that story more than anybody else. Because then again, growing up in Long Beach is very territorial. So north side has their thing, the east side has their thing, downtown has their thing. But we're still kind of connected, right? But yeah, Igor's Alley is one of those places. And it's funny because the chick that, somebody who lives there, she ended up telling me to remove the post.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean remove the post? And I'm like, how do I even know you live there, first of all? But it looks like she does live there. She said because she gets a lot of people that hop over the fence and a lot of people that try to go and take photos and stuff like that. But I never put the address. That's one of the things. If you look at my video, I don't have the address for that reason because of that privacy. Because it's a house.
Yeah, it's funny that you should mention that because when I did find out about Eigor's Alley, I was like, I'm gonna go look at it, right? And same thing, I couldn't find it. I'm like, where is it, right? And then I kind of like recently kind of pieced together more or less where it's at, right? I just wanted to see like the indentation of the door, right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us more about that story.
Yeah, it's a window. Like the story goes that Igor was an immigrant in the Great Depression, and he got fired. And bro, when you need money and you got fired from a job, like you lose it, And so he got drunk as fuck. He went back home, and I guess he got into it with the old lady, and he ended up killing her and the two kids. There was a window there at the back of that house, like that you can see from the alley. He ended up hanging them from like meat hooks, and so neighbors were able to see the bodies hanging there. And police never found Eigor. They obviously boarded up that window, and you can still see it. Like you said, you see the indentation. If you drive by there, you can still see that the outline of where it was at. And the story goes, if you're there at midnight, Igor's gonna appear. Now, I've never tried it at midnight, honestly. I'm like, fuck, because I believe in like spirits attaching to you, man. Like I feel like that's a real thing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna risk it. It is pretty creepy out there. As of late, they put these fucking big, giant, like bright LED lights, so it's not as spooky as before. It was really dim, but it's still creepy though.
Wow. So you said he got away? Like he just
never found him. Yeah,
they never found him.
Yeah, but it's more folklore than anything for sure. But it's still creepy, to like know about his story and to walk by there and things like that. And Every time I've gone, like there's nobody there because like it's one of these places. It's in a really nice neighborhood. It is hard to find because it's an alley, you know, and there's just no address. If you look online, we can't find the address. You just gotta kind of know from before. Like I already knew where it was at, so it wasn't hard for me to find again. And after all these years, that thing is still there. Like I said, I went recently and I could still see the indentation of the window that was boarded up.
You know, it's funny that you say that that you don't want to go there because you know would you just say spirits
Yeah, this spirits can attach to you.
attached to you?
Yeah.
It's funny that you should say that because you know like I believe that to be true, and there's multiple like things that I've seen and within movies and stuff like that, like even
Yeah.
like talking about certain topics like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of one of the reasons why I never made a channel like this because I don't want to be like around it and involved because I'm like
Yeah.
whatever like attaches myself
Right.
to you, but you're doing it, man.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, dude. Like, I'm afraid of the dark. I think everybody is for the most part. You know, sometimes like if after watching a scary movie, like you see shadows in your clothes or something, right? Like in your room, you're like, what the fuck is that? Your mind starts playing tricks with you. So I am scared at sometimes when I'm doing these things, and especially like, you know, after having an experience. If you've had an experience before with something, there's that thing where you know like shit's real. Like, for example, like in this apartment that I used to live a few years ago, dude, this was like in I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that, dude. That shit was scary, bro. I'm gonna tell you a story that it's a true story. So like I have 3 kids, right? And so at the time my daughter was, I don't know, I'm gonna say she was like 7 years old. Um, and so what happened is like I'm in bed with my wife, we're sleeping, and then I don't know what wakes me up, dude, because I was sleeping. Something wakes me up and I'm like I kind of like look to the side and there's the door and I see my daughter. I see like the shadow, like the silhouette, put it that way. And then her name is Marisol and I'm like, the fuck, what's she doing up, you know? And I'm like, Marisol, go to sleep. And she just kind of like, you know, kind of peeking through the side. And so then she kind of like moves a little bit. And I'm like, Marisol, go to sleep. And then nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck does she want, you know? And I'm like, Marisol, what happened? I thought she wanted, like, I don't know, something. Nothing, dude. And then I raised my voice at that point. I'm like, all right, that's enough. I'm like, Marisol, go to sleep. And I was loud enough that my wife, you know, it woke her up. And at that point, I hear like my daughter kind of snore. Like, you know, when like you're sleeping and something kind of wakes you up, you make that noise kind of like, or something like you kind of just make this little sound, right? Like, that you're sleeping, right? And that's when I realized, holy shit, my daughter's sleeping. And I fucking jump up and that figure that was there is gone. And my wife was like, what happened? And I didn't know how to explain it. I was just like, it's gonna sound weird, but Marisol was here. Well, at least I thought it was her, but it wasn't her. She's sleeping. And I got up. When I got up, I went to go check. And sure enough, dude, she was knocked out. She was sleeping.
So what do you think that was? Like a ghost, like or like a spirit, or
I think it was like I mean, I wouldn't say like a ghost, because when I think of a ghost, I think of somebody who, well, I guess it could be, right? I think of like somebody who's already like, it's a person. You can't change that. That's who they are. I think it's more like of a demon, bro. I feel like this was something that took shape of my daughter's, it knew that obviously I was gonna recognize her as my daughter. So I think it took that shape. Cause that was wild, dude. That's the only time that I've experienced something like that. But it was real. And at that time, I'm telling you, this was like 7 years ago or something like that. And at that time, I wasn't doing long horror dolls, or I knew stories and stuff like that, but I wasn't in the field of trying to like show this stuff. I wasn't going to like scary places or any of that stuff. It was like just out of the blue that happened. After that, it never happened again. But it was very strange that fucking shit happened.
so you believe like in demons, the devil, and all that stuff. That you not that you like, you know,
Yeah.
worship.
Worship and
Yeah,
shit.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that, but you believe that kind of stuff exists.
Yeah, dude. I think, you know, I'm Mexican, so growing up Mexican, I don't know if you heard the phrase "ocupas una limpia," because like demons will attach to you and stuff like that. So growing up Mexican, I knew that like if you had really bad luck, they say "estás salado." Like, you know, there's just something about you, bro, that like, you know, you just have bad luck. Ocupas una limpia. You need like a cleansing. So yeah, I do believe in that sort of thing, dude. I think that spirits can attach to you, but I think it also that they don't attach just to anybody. I think you got to be like either a fucked up person or something has to have happened for those demons to kind of want to latch onto you. They're not gonna latch onto a really good person, you know.
It's funny that you should say that, because that, for some reason, I guess, I don't know if it's our indigenous side, our Aztec, culture or whatever. But that's something that's hace una limpia, all that, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because some Latinos practice it. I know Puerto Ricans and Cubans practice it, right?
Right.
And it's crazy, right? But I think a lot of it originates from voodoo and Africa. Am I right? Or
Yeah, well, every culture has had its own beliefs, kind of like with heaven and hell. Like all the cultures kind of believe in an afterlife, so all of the cultures believe in the same thing, some sort of like herbs and stuff like that to kind of heal. Like before modern medicine, there was like all these spiritual things, right? So every culture has had that, and like yeah, like a lot of like southern or like Hispanic cultures have had that, right? And so it's just something that it's kind of going away now because now like we're more modern, so we know that cracking an egg in a bowl and doing like this like little fucking saying is probably not gonna cure your cancer, or like whatever it is. So we've kind of outgrown that, but there's a lot of truth to a lot of these things still though, like muchas de las limpias. It's true, man. Like you can get a cleansing, and maybe it's been all on your mind. I don't know, but I think that some of it still kind of works.
oh man, you just said something that's super beyond funny. I had a passenger in one of my cars, right? And she was talking about hacer una limpia, whatever, right? Because she wanted to, right? And she said, "Oh, me voy a hacer una limpia," and I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." I'm out driving, right? She goes,
The stomach.
No, man. So she said, "I need to go to Trader Joe's, para hacer una limpia," and I'm all like, "Oh, you're not gonna do it at your house?" And she goes, "No, I'm gonna get the egg from Trader Joe's, me voy a hacer la limpia, and then put the egg back."
Oh, what the fuck? She's gonna save money too on the process.
Oh my god, I was like, that's fucked up beyond recognition, man. Like, why the fuck would you do that? So you think it does is all the bad juju,
Yeah, you fucking
and
left it
then you
there.
put it back, and then someone's gonna eat that egg. And I'm like, that's wrong. But then I told her, well, why don't you just go to El Super or Costco and just buy like
a
eggs?
dozen.
Yeah, exactly, right? And first she's all like, I don't want to spend the money, right?
Mhm.
That was like one of them too. And she goes, and I go to Trader Joe's and I use their huevos because only white people go there.
Oh shit, they don't believe in that stuff. So
She goes, I don't want it to come back to our Mexican side.
Oh fuck, she's passing it on. In other words,
Now I just thought it was the funniest shit ever. I'm like, dude, you're on a different kind of like level, man. I'm like, I'm 10% ghetto chick. You're like 95% ghetto.
She's
dude.
99.9, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, that she did that shit.
No, but back to the limpias, man. People always doing themselves limpias too. Some people pay, and there's different types of limpias that you could do, right? Me per se, I don't like practice and partake in too much of that stuff. I think that, like you said, it attaches yourself when you play around with anything that you don't fully understand. It always has the consequences that you're like raising spirits and pulling them in. That something will eventually happen to you. This is my experience from it. I know people that have done certain things, brujeria and stuff like that, rituals or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, more often than not, they come up to me and they tell me, I lost a family member and I don't know why. And I'm all like, it's because of all this bad juju that you're practicing. It's like, it's going to claim something, within you or your family member. Estás llamando todos estos espíritus malos, all these bad spirits, and something's going to happen because you keep on practicing.
Yeah, there's a certain point where you got to stop, Like I get like trying to be scared, going into like a little haunted house or something, right? Like, cool. But when you start trying to call out the demons or trying to like, taunt them, that's where shit gets scary, right? Like, you start playing with that stuff. And like you said, things that you don't understand, that's where things get, pretty dicey for people and stuff like that. And there's a ton of like cases out there, like even like exorcisms and stuff like that. Like those were people that didn't believe in this stuff, And now we even have videos, bro. Like you've seen online, like these videos of like these kids that in other countries, like they're possessed. Like something is like really wrong with them, you know. And again, like it's people who are non-believers, you know, because like kid, I mean, you know, for them to like be possessed.
So in high school, I had a really good friend, and his brother was into wearing like all these satanic kind of like shirts and stuff like that. But kind of like everybody was like, oh, that's kind of his thing, you know, kind of like don't pay too much
It's going
attention
through a
to
phase
him.
right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. But he would always like day in and day out, right? I never saw the guy like practice or anything. Nicest guy ever. Like, you know, he was quite funny, right?
yeah.
You know, he had all the albums, all the death, whatever, metal, whatever.
Yeah.
And
It looked like he would shop at Hot Topic back in the day,
yeah,
and
for
that
sure.
sort of deal.
For sure. And what ended up happening was my best friend, and they ended up committing suicide
Oh damn.
in his living room
Oh no way.
in front of his girlfriend. And there's like a lot of things that kind of like people say, okay, well, what happened? Was it like a double murder suicide or what? Like, there's a lot of things that went wrong in that scenario. They say that maybe she was in on it, maybe it was her, a whole bunch of nonsense, right? So it is what it is. Nothing ever came from it. It ended, right? But a lot of people that knew my friend and his brother and his family, they said that it had to do with the brother's bad juju. That somehow it kind of like infected or was around them.
Yeah.
A demon to give you a thought to eventually do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real, dude. Like the Conjuring universe, like from the movies, that's basically what it is, you know, like somebody gets infected and then like it's hard to shake off, and like bad things happen to other people, you know? And it's real in real life too, man. You've ever met somebody who was just like they're just a fucking cancer, bro. Like they're just full of negativity and shit like that. Like it's true, man. Like this sort of stuff happens in real life on many different levels and stuff like that. And then there's people who exploit that stuff too, you know, like going back to like the limpia thing, like there's people who never believed in that sort of like cleansing stuff. They had a business, you know, like Las Sobanderos before and shit like that. You knew damn well your arm was broken, you know, but they're like, oh, it's a sobo, you know, they're gonna like massage your arm to get it better. It's like, bro, you know they needed the hospital, but here you are trying to make $50. And same thing with the cleansing, like you're not cleansing anything because you don't believe in it, you know, you're not gonna cleanse them. And so there's a lot of people who exploit that stuff, you know, and even with like the Ouija board, that's how that started, bro. I don't know if you know that.
No, go ahead, explain.
With the Ouija board, like there was this fascination, like in I think it was the late 1800s, where people were like trying to communicate with spirits, right? Because for that exact reason, people were like, "Oh, I can talk to your mom. She died. Yeah, I talked to her." And they're like, "What? You did?" And it's like, "Sure," you know. And it's like they started with that bullshit, you know, trying to get people to believe that they can speak to the dead. And this business guy, him and a group of people, they're like, let's exploit that. So they came up with the Ouija board. They even trademarked the name right off the bat. It's like, come on, man. And so now, you know, it's funny enough now, Hasbro's, like the brand that sells toys for kids, they own that. It's trademarked and everything. They even sell it. So if you ever see like the Ouija board, like at Target or something, and it says Ouija board, it's from Hasbro's, because you can't use that name unless you get permission from them. And so that whole idea of talking to spirits has been around for a long time in different ways, but the Ouija board came about because of that, like because of somebody trying to make money and exploit people. And I mean, how many people wouldn't want to talk to like, you know, relatives and stuff like that? And so that has been around for so long, trying to like communicate with spirits, and people have obviously been taking advantage of other people.
Have you ever played the Ouija board?
I never played it, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, as I say that it's probably like, it was business people trying to like exploit others. It's still scary, bro. It's still like this shit that it's like, imagine playing it as like, are you here with us? And the fucking thing starts to move and it says yes. And like, I know that I'm not moving it. And if anything, I'm moving it the opposite way. Hell no. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand it. It probably comes from like somebody trying to exploit it, but I'm not going to risk it. Because imagine getting a spirit attached. Fuck that.
Yeah, I've never played it either, and nor do I have the desire to play it, nor will I ever own one. I'm like, nah, I'm good on that.
Dude, one of my friends got me, dude, back in the day, like, and this was a lot of years ago. I was probably like 18. I'm 37 now, so this was a long time ago. There was like a computer version of it. And so this motherfucker got me because he was like, he would type in a question, right? He type in, for example, it's like, is somebody in this room going to die? And then the thing was that he would type in the like the answer, but he made it seem like he was typing in the question. So it was just like pre-made. It's hard to explain, but the point is he would type in, instead of writing, is somebody going to die in this room? He would write the answer because he already had it. So he would put, for example, I had a red car at the time and he was like, yes, like the person with the red car is going to die. But I thought he was typing in, is somebody here going to die? And the answer would pop up and I'm like, no way, how the fuck is this real? Like, I was tripping, bro. I was like, fuck, like, and then I figured out at one point that he fucked up. I was like, dude, you're fucking lying. Like, let me type it in. And then sure enough, he was fucking lying. But, things that you don't understand, you become a believer. At that point I was like, how? Like, how the fuck does this thing know?
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because there's always some pendejo in the group that always asks the most fucked up questions. Like that. Like, come on, dude. Like, why would you ask a question like that, right? Like, to just like get everybody in the room, but then they exclude themselves, right? Anybody but me, right? I'm like, pinches mamones, se pasan de verga.
Is it when you're drinking and like the motherfucker that's not gonna pitch in is like, I get some wings too.
It's always that vato, right? The fool that brings Bud Light to the party but drinks all the Coronas, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the party, well, nobody drank my Bud Light, so I'm taking it with me.
Yeah, he takes it back.
Like,
Fuck.
oh my god.
Those are staying here, bro.
No, but I believe that evil spirits, entities, like, do attach to people, but you know what? I see it like more like on a daily basis. Like, I see people and I'm all like, dude, you're contaminated. You have spirits in you. Like, you're acting and doing certain shit that you normally do because you have a demon in you. Like, how many times do we not like watch the news and like see all these like fucked up stories about people committing all these acts and stuff like that? I think that sure there's like mental illness, right? Sure there's like bad people, but some things are like unexplainable. Like, why in your right mind will cause you to like decapitate like your boss in a laundromat in front of the his people? It's just like, that's not right.
Yeah. There's one of the worst serial killers ever. He lived in Long Beach. He was born in Long Beach, then kind of moved out when he was like a kid, but then came back as an adult. Randy Kraft. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
So Randy Kraft was a serial killer. They called him the scorecard killer because he'd write down like things about like his victims. He'd keep a list of all of his victims and then kind of give them a score. He'd write details about them too. You know where Wilson High School's at?
Yes.
So right in front of the school, if you go 2 streets over, it's on Roswell. His house is actually right now in the market for sale. But I think he got arrested like in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So but in the 70s is really when he was doing all his killings. And that dude was psychotic, man. He killed a ton of people here in Long Beach. And a lot of them, he would drive them up like to different places to like kill them. And he'd like cut their penis off while they were alive. I'm not even sure how detectives know that. I'm sure there's a way to figure out like, how that happened, but he'd cut their penises off. He'd do like a bunch of gruesome shit to them. Some straight up decapitate them. And the guy lived in Long Beach, man, like a normal dude. He was I think in the Navy, if I'm not mistaken. And when they caught him, he was driving back with a victim. He was kind of swerving, so they're like, "Oh, this guy's drunk." So they pulled him over, and they get his ID and everything. You think it's like a normal traffic stop. The guy that was next to him was kind of like sleeping. So the cops at first didn't really question it. Everything came back good, but then the cop went to go check on the passenger. Obviously, he's like, I gotta check on this guy. He wasn't waking up, and then he realized he had his pants down. And I guess there was so much blood that it kind of covered it, so you couldn't really tell that his pants were down. The reason he was swerving was because he was cutting his penis as he was driving. He was already dead. He had strangled him to death, and he was cutting his penis. This dude was psychotic, man. Like, and I don't know if he's still alive. I haven't kept up with it, but it was a lot of years ago when this happened. But there was a ton of victims like that, and his first one wasn't really a victim, but he drugged a kid. He tried to rape. I think he raped him. Actually, he raped him. The but the kid got away because he went to work. Randy Kraft left the kid there. He went to work. The kid woke up like all fucked up. He ran out naked. He went to the police. And it's funny because they only gave him his ticket or some bullshit. Like you think that the cops would investigate that further, right? That was like a ticket.
What year was this? Like in the 70s?
It was in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, I think times were different back then. This guy reminds me a lot of Dahmer.
A little bit, yeah.
Did Randy Kraft try to eat any of his victims?
He didn't try to eat any of them, no. This guy was kind of like John Wayne Gacy. You know the guy that from Chicago? Yeah, the clown guy. He'd go after. It's funny now that I think about it, because the three of them were gay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the three of them were gay. But
Randy was also gay?
yeah, Randy was also gay. He hooked up with a lot of dudes at some of the bars here in Long Beach. I think one of them still operates. I think it's still still going. And obviously being gay is not the problem. The problem is being a serial killer. And this motherfucker would pick a lot of dudes up at bars and things like that. A lot of kids too. Like there seems to be like a pedophile thing with these serial killers.
So this Randy guy, he would pick up people here, kidnap them, and then take them somewhere, and you said kill them.
Yeah.
How would you dispose of the bodies?
So a lot of them were tossed. Some of them were tossed on like on the side of the freeways. A lot of them were found on the freeway. Some of them were found like just in the middle of somewhere by like the Inland Empire, stuff like that. He just kind of throw them off the road, like just side of the road, toss them. And the crazy thing about all this stuff is that Randy Kraft like blended in perfect, like, and I guess most serial killers do, right? Because you talk to neighbors and they're like, "Oh, nice guy, like really friendly and shit like that." And so I think that's the scariest thing because like nobody knew that this dude was a big time serial killer.
What was the motivation behind doing all that?
Well, he's one of the killers that didn't really speak after. Like once he got caught and went to jail, he kind of kept quiet. So there's a lot of mystery still. Like, what the fuck was wrong with him? Why would he do this? You know, and a lot of it did come from like very casual stuff. Like I said, nobody noticed anything wrong. So you're with the guy at the bar, like you're talking and stuff like that. You guys hit it off, then they'd go off to, hook up or just kind of continue the conversation. I was like, oh, they're gonna close the bar. Let's go to my pad. Let's go hang out. So there was nothing. There was no signs there, right? His motives are still unknown. This guy, it could have been anything. It could have been just like a fantasy of his. Nobody really knows why he committed all these murders.
Wow, that's crazy.
I hope you're enjoying these episodes as much as we enjoy making these episodes for you. Believe it or not, we're not monetized. That's right, we're not monetized, which means we don't make any money from YouTube at all whatsoever. In order to continue making these episodes, we need your help. Please make a contribution to our Cash App or our Venmo. And believe me, it's greatly appreciated.
Getting back to Long Beach, the Breakers Hotel recently reopened.
Yeah, that thing was closed for like 7 years. I think before the pandemic it closed, and then most of like after the pandemic, and it just reopened, but it was like closed for 7 years. And that thing has a lot of history. I think it opened, a year before or after the Villa Riviera, so like in the 1930s. And that place has gone from like being a hotel to being a retirement home, hotel, retirement home. It's flip-flop like crazy. Ownership has flip-flop. And I think for like since like the 1990s, I think 1990 to 2015, it was a retirement home / kind of accommodation here and there hotel. It was really weird, like a hybrid of it. But it was definitely a retirement home during that time. And so a lot of old people lived there. A lot of old people died there. And then somebody came in, bought them out, remodeled the whole thing, and it just reopened. But the stories there, bro, like they're pretty scary.
Do you know of any?
Yeah, so a lot of the folklore that comes with a lot of these stories are like people saying like doors slam, like shadows. But one of the crazy ones that I've heard of some dude that used to work there, he said that when he would go up on to like a certain floor, because when it was a retirement home, there was like nurses and like people taking meds, food, stuff like that. Well, some dude that worked to like deliver like food for them and stuff like that, part of like the retirement home, it's like old people gotta eat and shit. Obviously everybody does, but like, here's your meal, miss, whatever the hell. he'd go on the elevator, he'd push like floor 8 or something like that, and it'd go like 6, 7, and then it wouldn't even go to 8. There would be no number, and then it'd stop and it'd open, and it was a floor that he wouldn't even recognize. He's like, what the fuck? So he said, and a few other people have claimed that this is real, that between those 2 floors, there's another floor, and you get off, and there's like a desk, and there's like an attendant there, and then they're like, oh, we've been expecting you. You go through that door, and that guy's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And they all felt like it's off, and the person at the desk wants you to go through that door, and so you just get the fuck out. You go back into the elevator and you push that shit again. So I don't know. Imagine there is another floor there, and it's like, I don't know. You can't explain it. It's just haunted.
Oh, that's one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard, man.
Going in that elevator and you push it and it opens somewhere else. Like, dude, that is freaky, man.
It's kind of like you're stopping, like kind of like in hell before hell.
Yeah.
Like you walk in through that door, and then you go straight to hell.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's asking you to go through the door for a reason. It's hell, like you said.
And the funny thing that you should say that, because a lot of like demonic, like entities and stuff like that, it's almost like at first they can't even touch you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need some participation on your part in order to kind of like begin the transaction.
Yeah.
Like they don't have claim ownership to your soul, right?
You gotta believe in this way. That's why like a lot of the folklore is like, oh, doors slam, shadows move. It's an invitation, in other words, right? Like when you see something happen, like a door slams, right? And you think, what the heck was that? And you give no thought to it. It doesn't have power over you. Mm-hmm. But when you start to be afraid and you start to feed into it, it grows bigger and bigger, and then it eventually, manifests into something. And then that's when the real haunting begins.
Do you believe in people that say that they've like gone to heaven and came back, gone to hell and came back? Do you believe in stuff like that?
Dude, I think there may be some truth to that, because a lot of the stories are similar, right? That they were dead and then they saw the exact same thing almost, right? And I think it could be one of 2 things. Either your mind isn't accepting death, right? And so it's almost like a lot of people resolve their trauma there. Like if like you didn't have your dad around or something like that. I saw a documentary of some guy talking about that. He's like, I saw my dad, I talked to him. So I think it's maybe his mind coming at peace with death, But then there's some that things happen that they come back and they talk about things that you can't explain, right? Like they talk about things that they saw that they wouldn't have known about. And so that one's a mystery right there. I don't know if you have heard of this guy who had like a stroke or something. I know that I'm lying when I say a stroke. There's something that happened to some dudes like in England. It was like a near-death experience. And now he can remember every day. If you're like September 23rd, 1987, he'll tell you if it was raining or if it was cloudy, if it was sunny. He'll tell you the weather. That's wild. How the fuck? Like, what in his mind switched? That it allowed him to have that power, so to speak. So there's something about death that your mind changes for sure.
Wow, it's like rewiring of the brain, right? And there's a lady, she used to come on in the show Taxi. Are you familiar with the show Taxi?
Oh yeah.
She was one of the actresses where she had that ability where she would be able to, exactly what you just said. She would be, and I was like, damn, I would hate to have that ability.
Do you remember every fucking the weather?
Oh, well, the weather, everything you did at this time, every single conversation.
Oh,
it's
shit.
like,
that one beyond it.
I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure that there's some stuff that you don't want to remember, right? And that's just like, like.
Yeah, that one's different. That guy only remembers the weather, but he sure remembers.
That's it? That's only his special ability, just to remember the weather?
Yeah, just the weather, which is weird.
Oh, she's probably lying.
Yeah. She's making shit
up. You know
up.
how easy it is to lie about the weather and not being able to prove it? I mean, come on, man.
No, well, like the documentary, they have somebody like there, like
researching it.
Yeah, researching it. It's like, yeah, no, yeah, that dude.
Probably a good liar, man. No, but this lady from Taxi, she knows like what day you met, what you were wearing, the conversation you had. Like,
oh wow,
she'll be like, oh, like January 19th, I was 16 years old, and I'm like, F that ability. Like, I wouldn't want to have that.
Yeah,
that ability.
Yeah, that's crazy. But something does happen, and I think that I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but I think that when you're gonna die, I think that damn, like I just feel like I'm not a believer in it yet. That when you're dying, that you see heaven or something like that. Because I feel like once you're dead, bro. Like there is no coming back from the dead. At that point, they weren't dead yet. You know, they were technically dead if like by a monitor telling you like that. You know, you don't have a heartbeat anymore, but you're still alive. Like your mind is still firing and like it's still there. But to actually be dead, like you're in a coffin, you've been dead for 10 years, there's no coming back from that. Or like for a few days. Like, so they're medically dead, you know, and I think that's why I'm not a believer in it, because they weren't dead. Your mind, it's kind of like when you dream, bro, like when you get knocked out. I mean, I haven't been knocked out, I'm saying, but like fighters, when they get knocked out, they don't remember shit, you know, like, and they were laid out cold, or like when you're sleeping, you go through all these memories or like dreams that don't fucking make sense. I think that's what happens. I think the brain is still active and it's thinking of stuff, you know?
Still doing stuff. So I partly believe, like what you said, like, you know, when it was something traumatic where they're like, oh, you know what, I kind of like went to heaven or whatever. It's like, okay, I partly believe it if it's like something medically induced, right? Like, oh, I got hit by a car, you know, like you know, like you said, my heart stops, and then, you know, I was gone like to heaven, like for like, you know, X amount of like days or whatever, and then I came back. And I'm like, okay, well, I believe it, right?
Yeah.
To a certain degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't believe is with some people that write books that claim to be like Christian or whatever, and they're like, oh, I went to heaven and this is what I saw.
Yeah.
And then I came back. I'm like,
And-
come on, dude.
Yeah, and-
like, well, what are you doing over here?
And for $9.95, you can read my story. You know, it's one of those.
And then I'm all like, all right, te la paso, right? I'll let
Yeah.
it slide, whatever, all right? You're a little con artist or whatever, right? Goes, yeah, they sent me back to like say the word or whatever, right? But you're making money off of it.
Yeah.
And then you have the other people that claim that have gone to hell, right? And this is what I've seen in hell. And I'm all thinking, okay, well, nothing happened to you where like you died and then you went to hell. Like, you know, there's no like traumatic story, right? That you got hit by a car, you went to hell, and then you came back, right?
Right.
As far as I know, once you go down that path, you're never gonna come back, right?
Yeah.
And then they come back and they tell you that Selena's being tortured every time that they play her music, right?
What the fuck?
Oh, you never heard
I
that?
never heard of that.
No.
Uh,
So supposedly Selena, you know, the Mexican Tejana singer, that she's in hell, and then every time they play her music, that she's being tortured. That's one of the stories, right? That Michael Jackson's in hell, you know, whatever, dancing or whatever. One of them that yeah, dancing. And then I heard that the evil spirit, you know how Michael Jackson would dance and pop or whatever like that. And
yeah.
and we were like, oh, that's cool, right?
He's doing that shit in hell?
No, that's the way demons walk in hell.
Gotcha. Yeah. Definitely he was going for that. Like in that, like in his music video, the popular one that he has, it's a Thriller, I think. Yeah, he's doing all that stuff and shit like that. But
And I kind of believe it, because haven't you seen like the movies where the chicks like go backwards and then they're walking on their hands and shit like that? And I'm like, oh, that's crazy, right? When you look at crackheads in the middle of the street, that their faces are all turning and they're acting all weird and just moving like that.
and some are literally like that, bro.
Yeah,
Like they're upside down.
Yeah, and I'll be like, dude, that's demonic right there, bro.
Yeah. Well, they say there's something to that, dude. Like taking like that, like a drug, like DMT, that it gets your mind like to see all kinds of shit, because there's supposed to be things that we can't see. You know, I don't know if you heard this before, but this I've never looked into it, but it could be false. But I heard that that dogs can see like another wavelength. So we see color, right? Like we see the photons that come to our eyes, and we see that spectrum, kind of like satellites in space. They see other wavelengths, the shit that we can't see. A lot of the stuff that the pictures they show us from space, we couldn't see with our eyes. It's only through those telescopes that we can see them. So I've heard that dogs have like other, in their eyes, they have other wavelengths they can detect. And that's when you hear them barking like crazy at night and nobody's there. And you're like, shut the fuck up. It's because they're able to see other things. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're able to like kind of like feed off of like the energy or whatever, and kind of like you know, like sometimes we're like, have you heard
Or like an earthquake. When it's gonna be an earthquake.
earthquakes? Yeah, I remember
that
I was
animals,
a kid, and then the dog stood up and went running. I was like,
Even before it happened.
Before it happened, and they're like, "Hey, what's wrong with you know?"
Yeah, ¿qué le aplicó este güey?
Yeah, este cabrón a Firulais, right? And then yeah. So for sure.
And you're like, why did you say something stupid? Like, I did. I tried to fucking tell you, motherfucker. I left running.
But then also they're very good indicators on when they meet somebody of that person's like trustworthy or not, you know. And that's probably what has to do with they probably, you know, see something, you know, within the light spectrum or whatever of their eyes. But
Yeah.
I hear that dogs are colorblind, right?
Yeah, that too. That's why it's weird. Like, so I heard of horses as well. I think there's a lot of animals, like their eyes are so different from ours. They look the same, but they can all see different things. Some are colorblind. But dogs are the ones that are, it kind of makes sense because when you hear a dog barking like crazy, or like you said, they meet somebody and they just don't like them, you know? There's a lot of truth to that.
I think there might be different forms of communication within the animal kingdom that we have lost practice of. Like, you know how they say the sixth sense? I think that in some way we used to have ownership of the sixth sense, but we've lost it. Yeah. And I think that the animal kingdom still has it. You know, like they're like non-silent with silent communication, right? Like telepathy, like with the mind, right? And I guess you could kind of still do it like from time to time. Like I've done it before, you know, with family members, sometimes with friends, right? When I just look at somebody and like I'll tell them like something with my mind, and then they look at me and they kind of like that, and then we both know, and then we kind of like, and then so it's kind of like I don't know if you've ever done stuff like that. Like, have you ever tried doing stuff like that?
Oh, like telepathy,
like talk to your friends with your mind, and then that you communicate, kind of.
Not in that sense, but I've like had the thing where like we're thinking the same shit. We see something and we look at each other at the same time.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's like the kind of like the sixth sense. Yeah.
In that sense, yeah. But like, never like said like a thought like, hey, look over here, and then they look, you know. But the other shit, yeah, like it happens, right? Like you look at each other and you're thinking the same shit. You without even talking to each other, you just know like, yeah, we're thinking the same shit. Let's get the fuck out of here, or whatever it is, you know. Or like, this bitch is lying. Like you look at each other, you're like, yeah, you're thinking what I'm thinking. You know, like if someone's telling you a lie and you look at each other, you're like, you know. But it comes a lot with like critical situations. Like if you feel you're in danger, like you have this silent communication with people because you know you can't say a lot because you're gonna tip them off that you know. So, I mean, where I grew up in, obviously, like I said, I've been in Long Beach all my life, and I grew up on the east side. And a lot of people confuse it. They think that the east side is the east side. It's two different things. The east side, people who know use it in one word, like east side. So anyhow, my point is this, that on the east side of Long Beach, it was hood before, bro. It's still kind of hood and ghetto, but before it was very ghetto. Like gang wars, like talking about the 90s, like it was pretty bad. And in the hood, you have that telepathy, like I can say it, telepathy thing. You just know, like there's words that you don't have to speak. You kind of speak with your mind and gestures to let people know, like, yeah, something's off, or let's get the fuck out. You know, that sort of deal. Like it's a true thing, which is weird to explain, huh?
Yeah, definitely. The Queen Mary. What's the deal behind the Queen Mary? I've heard so many different stories. One time in high school we did the tour, right? And I was like, I didn't feel anything. So what's the deal there?
Yeah, the Queen Mary, that is the most famous out of all of them. It has the most folklore around it. It's actually like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like I think out of the 7 most haunted places in the world, I think it ranks somewhere there. Not number 1, but it ranks somewhere among the top 7. And there's so much there, man. Like you have like a little girl that supposedly died that in the pool. It's closed now. So rumor is that she drowned in the pool. They tried to save her, but she drowned. And to this day, you can see like wet footprints. You hear a little girl running. You hear that sound by the pool, but there is no little girl there, obviously, because you know it's been closed forever. You also have room B340, which is one of the most haunted rooms. People that stay there, they say that that your blankets are freaking just pulled from you. Sometimes you try to get out, but the door is closed. The little knob, it's really hot. There's just a lot of stories there. But the craziest one that I've heard, it's one about one of the nurses. So before, the Queen Mary was a warship, right? It wasn't actually like in battle, like, you know, shooting cannons or anything like that, although it does have, like, it's equipped with a big ass gun. So back in the day, it used to carry wounded soldiers. It also would take soldiers. So it was kind of like a round trip, right? It would take soldiers, it'll bring back wounded ones, prisoners of war. So there was a lot of death there on the Queen Mary. And sometimes it was packed up to like 15,000 people in that ship. And there was a lot of people who were sick, whether it was from like wounds or just like disease. And there was a nurse on that ship. Um, and I'm blanking out her name right now, but they call her the Angel of Mercy. And so a lot of people thought like, wow, she's like an angel, right? Because a lot of people that were suffering would pass calmly. It turns out she was killing them. Like, she was like a psycho. She'd kill them. So you think like, oh, this person has been suffering for like the last 3 days, like with really bad wounds and stuff like that. He finally passed. And so they thought like, oh, like, you know, they were in the care of her. So she kind of like ease them to their death. But she was killing them. She was like injecting them with something because she felt like if they were like losing like half of their face or like their leg, she felt like they were going to be ridiculed by people. So it's like, nah, that's some suffering that you don't need to go through. So let me put you to rest. So she passed judgment of who was to be alive and who wasn't. And so it all made sense at a certain point. They caught on to her, but when they were gonna arrest her, she I guess she knew, and they never found her.
Oh, she just like fled.
Yeah, so they say if you go in there with like some sort of pain of like unresolved issues that you have, that she'll latch on to you. Or if you ring a little bell, because that was kind of the thing, I believe, that you ring a little bell to let them know like, I need help, you know, and she'll appear. I haven't tried it. I don't plan on trying it, but if anybody does, I'd want to know if she appeared or not.
They could send you the footage.
Yeah. Oh, her name was Haley Sinclair.
Haley
That was her
Sinclair.
name, yeah. The Angel of Mercy.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
So, and then the propeller room. This is a real story too. That the propeller room. Have you been to the propeller room?
Yes, I've been to the propeller room.
So it's obviously this big, giant, massive propeller, right? And the propeller room, the Queen Mary did collide with another ship back in the day during the war. It was actually like a guide ship to kind of maneuver through all the bombs that could, you know, be out at sea, and it ended up crashing into it. And at the rumor, or I guess it's a rumor, that over like 300 men that were at sea got sucked up by the propellers. The actual crash did happen. That is real. Like, you can look that up, and it's a real thing that happened. A lot of these men drowned. A lot of them were sucked in by the propellers, because there's 4 big ass giant propellers on the Queen Mary. You only see one, but there's 4.
Okay, the one that the propeller room is you're walking, you go through the boiler room, and then there's like a little part where it's like it's uncovered, right?
Yeah, it's uncovered, and that one right there, it's only one of 4 that you see. There's 2 on each side, and they're massive. They're huge, right? You've seen them. They're huge, and even when you look down there, it's funny because when you walk in, you can feel that room feels off. There's just some weird shit about it.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because when I was in the boiler room, I didn't feel anything. It was like whatever, like, you know, I see all those pipes, whatever. But when I was staring into the actual water with the propeller, yeah, dude, I felt a little funny. It's
gonna sound crazy to say this, but it almost gives me the sense of like that intrusive thoughts. Like when you're looking down there, it almost feels like you want to jump in that motherfucker. I don't know if you ever,
Oh my god!
if you had that feeling, bro, but I feel like I look at it, and like the intrusive thought is like jump, and it's like, dude, what the fuck just went through my head?
I've never said this to anybody, and I was gonna say it right now, but I'm like, nah, keep it in, don't say it. When
Jumping
I was in there, something inside of me was telling me to jump in.
Damn.
And I've never said that to anybody,
wow.
ever. So when I'm like looking at you, and I'm like, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? Is that how you felt? Like,
yeah, that's how I felt, dude. And every time it's happened, like I walk in there, I actually have the year pass for that shit, for like the Queen Mary, and I go often, and I look down there, and it feels like the water is just like in this weird way calling you, and that thought just runs through my mind. It's not that it's constantly there, but at least once it goes through my mind, it's like jump in
it's
there.
like faint, right?
Yeah,
like
like
jump
just jump,
in,
like
jump
going.
in, yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's scary. Once I start to to get that, I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
and
time
like,
to go.
yeah,
It's
get
time-
out of here.
Yeah, get out of here because
I was surprised too because I'm like looking at it and I'm like thinking like they kind of like should kind of enclose this a little bit better
Yeah.
because it's so easy for you to
oh
actually.
yeah, or a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, a kid to like freaking try to look over and fall, and you could tell that shit is deep. If you
Yeah.
fall in that motherfucker, like
Cold
it's
too.
yeah, it's. I mean, if you know how to swim, you might be okay for a little while till somebody gets your ass out of there. But if you can't swim, your ass is dead.
But think about it. It's like it's such in the bottom that like who would find you? Who would hear you? Like it's
Yeah,
just
you fall by
it's
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
true. That's true.
like even if you're like with the tour guide, right? What the hell's the tour guide gonna do? It's usually like
yeah.
somebody who's not physically able, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to be there with a tour guide. That's the thing too. And you can just go there by yourself. And the closest person to you is pretty far. Like they won't be able to hear you. It's kind of like a maze, right? When you go down there. So like even if you're screaming, it's gonna be hard for anybody to fucking hear you. So like you're toast, bro. Like you're dead. But yeah, like there's and it's funny because like if you walk to the Queen Mary like on top and you look down at the water, you don't get that thought of like jumping. You're like, this is scary. But it's weird that down there you get the thought of, Jay, go ahead and jump.
It's probably like
It's a spirit.
yeah, it's
like,
all these weird spirits, and yeah, I felt that. I definitely felt that, like to jump. I never told anybody that story.
That's wild. I've never told anybody either. So I'm like,
That's
shit.
crazy.
Yeah.
How many now? I mean, how many other people that are watching this podcast right now
That's have the same shit.
and that's like the creepiness of that is real, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I hope somebody who's watching the podcast can also comment and put, if they have the same thing.
Yeah,
happen
for
to
sure.
them, like if that thought crossed their mind, maybe it was something worse. Shit.
Yeah, for sure, man. I've never been through the actual places like where the hotel section is. I think when I went on the tour, I've been on the Queen Mary 3 times. Once when I was in high school, once when I was when I first moved into Long Beach, and then one during Halloween Horror Night or what do they call it?
Yeah,
Harbor,
yeah.
Dark Harbor.
The Dark Harbor, yeah.
Yeah. It went through the ship or whatever. But I've never actually been to like the hotel section of it.
Yeah, you could go on well, I mean, I don't know if it's like allowed like that, but once you're on the ship, you can pretty much roam the ship wherever you want for the most part, including that area of like the hallway where guests stay. And it's funny because last time that I was there, like there's a captain always there. And I was like, what do you need a captain for? This fucking thing ain't moving.
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere. So this guy gets paid to captain what? Unless, and then I thought, imagine there is no captain. Imagine that the dude that I saw was, but there is, it has to be. I know, I see him all the time. Yeah. It's just, I want to ask him, hey, what do you do? It's like, because the ship's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think just in general, like there always has to be one captain in every ship. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I mean, that ship ain't going anywhere. I don't even think it could if it wanted to. It's sitting on something.
To my understanding, we almost lost it. Like I think it was a couple years ago. I think it was like $6 million or more to like repair it or something. And I was like, dude, I mean, like it needs to be preserved, like I don't know where you're gonna find the money, but you can't let that just
it's been here for so long. Yeah.
It's kind of like here. And I think at one point that little section of where the ship is, so much is done there, like the Carnival Cruise Liners there. And I think at one time they said they wanted to tear a part of it and make like an amphitheater, like for a Disney concert amphitheater kind of a thing. We have so many different festivals down there, and I don't know. It's just, I think it's best to just be left alone,
Yeah, it's a beautiful ship. Like it's old for sure, but that's part of the charm. Like it's so old, like it's a time capsule. When you walk in there, all that stuff is original for the most part. I think three of the smoke stacks, I think that they're fake, they're replicas. I think when they were transporting the ship, doing something to it, they fucked them up. So
really?
So those are fake. They're not original. But everything else from that ship is original. It's expensive as shit. You couldn't replace that stuff even if you wanted to. Like with like real stuff, it costs too much money.
True. The one thing that I kind of liked about it, they had like the old school like London phone booths.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked them. Like I looked at them like, that's cool, man. It reminded me of like.
So before so across the street, or not across the street, across the parking lot from the Queen Mary, there was this old looking village. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I remember that village.
And it was shut down for a long time. And recently, like in the last year, I think they tore it down. So there was an old phone booth there, and during the pandemic, me and my wife went there to kind of like just explore and stuff like that because it was creepy. And we saw the booth, and my wife's like, she thought she was funny. She goes and she opens it to go in there, and dude, there was a creepy ass guy just like standing, like just like a killer looking guy, just looking. And I just look at my wife and kind of like the thing that we were talking about earlier. We look at each other and we knew like, holy shit, let's get the fuck out of here. Just this creepo guy there, man.
Was he inside the phone
He was
booth?
inside the phone booth.
So she didn't see him when she opened it?
Because it was really dark. It was at night. It was dark as hell. We were just kind of exploring, and she opens it, and the guy's just standing there, almost like the typical killer that you think of, like head down, just like looking like a damn demon kind of thing. I know she would have gone in that shit. She wasn't gonna be coming out. Like we knew how lucky that was, like that situation that she just opened it and we immediately saw the guy, and she didn't jump in there. That was crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have those exact old school London booths throughout the Queen Mary, which are fucking cool. The old school telephone booths.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a crazy story that happened, man. With that thing.
Yeah,
You
dude.
could write fucking stories about something like that, man.
Yeah, man. It's you know, I don't know how many believers you're gonna have on the podcast and stuff, but a lot of these stories, you'd be surprised how many people have similar stories. I want people to like kind of comment on what they've experienced, you know, because a lot of stuff kind of like that I said, that there's like a little voice saying to jump inside the propeller room, right? Like how many other people have stories that are similar?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm glad that we talked about it because like now it opens the discussion, like for so many people to like write on the comment section or reach out to you directly and like, be telling you like, oh yeah, I felt this too. This has been my experience with all that. And you know what? I think we gotta go, but before we go, I'm gonna say two things. All the things that we talked about today, like, just, if anybody has, we talked about Igor's Alley, we talked about,
The Breakers Hotel.
we talked about the Queen Mary. If anybody has like experience with anything like that, go ahead and like comment and like let us know your experiences. And the best way for you to comment is right here on the channel, Tacos and Workouts on YouTube, the best podcast in Long Beach, and YouTube, on Instagram as well, and also on Long Beach Horror Dolls, right? That's the best
Long
way.
Beach Horror Dolls, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I do want to hear what people have to say. That'd be great.
And then we could come back and do another episode.
Yeah, we can look into those stories and see what people said. That'd be fucking cool.
Or if somebody has like creepy stories, and they want to come on the podcast, maybe we could have like a little like session right here,
Make it a bigger group. Bring the Ouija board. See if we're
we're
up for it.
with the Ouija board.
We'll haunt the studio.
Well, that door did crack when we were talking.
Yeah, shit. I was like, what the hell was that? I was like, damn.
And I'm like, they're getting started.
I was like, yeah, this guy's setting me up here.
Yeah, so we're just gonna end it like that. Like, we're gonna invite people that want to come onto the podcast. They have something creepy, fun to talk about, good stories. They have to be interesting. Maybe we'll do this again and invite them. So I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Do me a huge favor, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and until then, we'll see you guys next time.